Someone who always wants to be better than other people is dash.
You chose competitive, and it is correct.
Which of the 5 dimensions of personality focuses on whether an individual is organized or disorganized? Clear logic. Your choice conscientiousness is sound and 100% true. The tendency of people to overestimate the extent to which other people are noticing them is referred to as well-reasoned. Spotlight effect is the correct choice. Personality is a relatively persistent pattern in an individual regarding the following things, except dash. Excellent. Favorite activity is a brilliant choice. Personality embraces dash, 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 and is most clearly expressed in interactions with other people. Perfect moods, attitudes, and opinions is the correct choice. Personality is something which is unique in each individual. Characteristics of personality except dash.
Great job. Be vigilant is the accurate answer.
In dash, a therapist reads aloud a list of words and client would respond without hesitation, no filter. Nice work. You chose free association, and it is correct. Dash refers to a branch of psychology that studies personality and its variation among individuals.
Well picked. Positive psychology is the correct answer.
The perceived lack of control that a person develops from repeated inescapable adverse events.
Bravo. Learned helplessness is the answer.
Testing a pool of items and selecting those items that discriminate between groups is called on track. Empirically derived test is the correct answer. The act of banishing anxiety, arousing thoughts, feelings, and memories from consciousness. Nicely done. Repression is a solid answer. Dash refers to the interacting influences between personality and environmental factors. Good thinking. Reciprocal determinism is the right answer. The environment as a source of individual behavior is a principle of the theory dash. Smart move. Behavior is an accurate answer. The interacting influences between personality and environmental factors is known as excellent choice. Reciprocal determinism is the right answer. The following test tools which are not included as personality test tools are dash. You're right. Wechsler intelligence test is the correct answer. The perception that one's fate is determined by forces not under personal control. You got it. Your choice eternal locus of control is right. A statistical technique used to identify clusters of related items is called solid response. Factor analysis is a valid choice. The shared, inherited reservoir of memory traces from our species' history. Exactly. Collective unconscious makes sense, and it is right choice. He organized needs into a hierarchy, with the top being self-actualization. Great thinking. Abraham Maslow is the right choice. Maslow referred to this as the process of fulfilling one's full potential. Smart pick. Self-actualization is the correct choice. An individual's characteristic pattern of thinking, feeling, and acting. Sharp thinking.
personality is the right choice.
His personality types were the basis of the Myers-Briggs type indicator.
Strong choice. Carl Jung is the right answer.
The movement back in psychological time when under stress or anxiety.
Well done. Regression is the right choice.
Collective unconsciousness and archetypes are terms related to dash.
Right choice. Jung is the best answer.
Unconsciousness and inferiority complex are terms related to dash.
Right again. Adler is a valid answer.
Credited with creating the thematic apperception test.
Good job. Your answer, Henry Murray, works well here.
The following is not a Freudian concept in personality dash.
Correct. Indescribable mind is the right answer.
Individual differences in characteristic patterns of dash.
Correct response. Thinking, feeling, and behaving is the most accurate answer.
Conducted experiments on learned helplessness using dogs.
Valid point. Martin Seligman is true.
The switching an unacceptable impulse into its opposite.
Nice selection. Reaction formation is the correct and valid answer. Disguising an impulse by imputing it to another person.
Nice work. You chose projection and it is correct. An individual's sense of self-worth is referred to as
great thinking. Self-esteem is the right choice.
Providing self-justifying explanations for an action.
Smart move. Rationalization is an accurate answer.
Self-actualization was the top tier of his hierarchy.
Good job. Your answer, Abraham Maslow, works well here.
Personality represents a dynamic orientation of dash.
Smart pick. Organism to environment is the correct choice.
Rogers identified the total acceptance of others as
valid point. Unconditional positive regard is true.
The perception that one controls one's own destiny.
Great job. Internal locus of control is the accurate answer.
Redirecting impulses to a less threatening object.
On track. Displacement is the correct answer.
Race, age belong to dash dimension of personality.
Correct. Internal is the right answer.
Psychodynamic and unconsciousness are terms by.
Excellent choice. Freud is the right answer.
A person's characteristic pattern of behavior.
You got it. Your choice trait is right.
Unconditional positive regard was coined by.
Bravo. Carl Rogers is the answer.
The tendency to perceive oneself favorably.
Well done. Self-serving bias is the right choice.
Personality is greatly influenced by dash.
Right choice. Social interactions is the best answer.
Learned helplessness is term coined by.
Excellent. Seligman is a brilliant choice.
Known for his psychosexual stages.
Right again. Sigmund Freud is a valid answer.
Who you want to be referred to dash.
Perfect. Ideal self is the correct choice.
Positive psychology contributor.
Nicely done. Martin Seligman is a solid answer.
The superego is driven by the solid response. Moral principle is a valid choice.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format? Sharp thinking. Contact Narayan Changder is the right choice.